Palace 0 to look back. Myself, Mark Donaldson, alongside the five-time Premier League winner, Stevie Nichols. So, Stevie, no goals for the best team in the world, the Club World Cup champions, against a Palace side that might have had Eberechi Eze playing for them for the last time. Was a draw, first of all, a fair reflection of what we saw today?
Yeah, 100%. I don't think either side going forward, certainly in the attacking half of the field, deserve to win this game. And quite frankly, I think I do feel for Chelsea a little bit. You know, this probably was one of the worst games they could have had to start the season. They've only been back since the Club World Cup for 10 days, and they were never going to be 100%. Certainly, were never going to be sharp enough against a Crystal Palace side that are so well organised that you need your legs to break them down. You need that extra sting in your legs. You know, you need to have that little half yard that can separate you from well-organised defences. And so I do feel for Chelsea a little bit. They didn't really create any. I mean, I think 90th minute and the 94th minute, Delap had a chance and Santos had a chance. But other than that, absolutely nothing. Cole Palmer was invisible, as were most of the Chelsea side. But to be quite honest, I think this was just unfortunate that they were coming up against a Crystal Palace side who were clearly match fit, and Chelsea are not match fit.
We'll talk a lot more about Eberechi Eze later in the show, but he had the ball in the back of the net in the 13th minute. It's a free kick about 22 yards out. He went for power rather than precision, and the ball found its way swiftly beyond Robert Sanchez. 1-0 Palace, so we thought. But then VAR got involved. Mark Gahey was adjudged to have committed an infringement in the wall by pushing a Chelsea player to allow the gap for Eze to score. Referee Darren England announcing to the crowd after a review with VAR that the goal would be chalked off. Simple question, was it the right decision, first of all?
Well, 100%. I mean, I think the official announcement is that Gahey wasn't far enough away from the Chelsea wall. But the truth is, you can use either one. That was the case, but also it's a clear foul. I mean, he just completely shoves Caicedo out the road. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it was that tough a decision, quite honestly. It is the correct decision. It was clear as day. When you see the replay, it's clear as day. And so, yeah, had that been allowed, that would have been a complete injustice.
What did Crystal Palace do well today to stifle Chelsea?
Crystal Palace today did exactly what Crystal Palace do. I mean, they are so organised. I mean, I think clearly for this game in particular, they completely and utterly jammed up the middle of the field and said, right, you're going to have to go wide. But Chelsea didn't want to go wide. I mean, I don't understand that part of it from Chelsea. You know, you've got Gittins on one side, Neto on the other side. Get them the ball then. If Palace want to jam the middle up, get these two guys the ball. That's why you spent all the money you did on both of them. Obviously, you've got Esteval who comes on as well. Tyreek George, another one who could have, you know, played in the wide areas to start with. Never mind be on the bench. So that to me is what this should have been about. But Chelsea never really tried to exploit that. And any time they did go wide, they just came back into the middle again. So, listen, Palace was so organised, jammed the middle of the park. Chelsea had no answers for it. Again, a little bit of what I said earlier. When you don't have that little half yard in your legs that can separate you, when you're playing against a side like Palace who are so good defensively and organised, everybody knows the job, everybody does their job, then it's going to be tough. And it was really tough for Chelsea.
It's easy to focus on the so-called big team when they're playing against a side like Crystal Palace. But for me, it's a bit disrespectful to the likes of Palace, because you've said perfectly the way that they are and what they do. Do you think their FA Cup win will give them probably the credit that they deserve, and that going to Chelsea and drawing, and they'll look at that as maybe 2 points dropped, is where they are? Do you think that will give them the credit that they deserve, that they should be taken as a serious player in maybe a race for the top 10?
Yeah, I don't think that's in question. I think anybody who's certainly seen enough of Palace over the years will understand that this Palace side, you know exactly what you're going to get from them every time they step on the field, and that's a coach's dream, and that's certainly down to the coach, but it's certainly down to the players as well. Now, if Palace decide that Guéhi has to go and Eze has to go, then that could change things, because they're such a well-drilled, well-oiled machine that when you take a couple of important pieces out, it totally changes it. Certainly from a defensive point of view, if you take Guéhi away, how are they possibly going to replace him? And then from an attacking side of the game, obviously Palace play on the counter. And when you've got the quality that Eze has, he's absolutely perfect. Certainly with the work ethic he has to go with his ability, he's perfect in that Palace system. So, yes, I think 100% Palace will get or are getting the respect they deserve. But that could change if those two pieces of the puzzle disappear.
They found a way to be successful without Michael Olise when he went to Bayern. It was Eze and Sarr in behind Mateta with the width provided by the wing-backs. What would they lose if Eberechi Eze did say his goodbye to the Palace fans today and does sign for Spurs?
Well, I think it's clear it's goals. You know, when you generally are playing in a match where most of the time the opposition has most of the ball, then it's so important to have real quality that the opportunities that do come, then you're able to take them. And that's the difference. If Eze goes, boy, how are you going to replace his goals? I'm not so sure they can. And again, that'll change the way everybody thinks about Palace and plays against them.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was kind of similar, the display by Chelsea today from the one that Paris Saint-Germain put in against Spurs in the Super Cup. There was lethargy, there was tiredness, they lacked effervescence. That's understanding. They're probably 2-3 weeks behind their opposition right now. When they're ready, when they're up to speed, maybe it'll be after the international break at the start of September. What can we expect realistically from Chelsea this season?
Well, realistically, they should be looking to be in the top four. I mean, that has to be the bottom line. That has to be the minimum, top four. Certainly with the amount of money they spend in the transfer market, they have to be in and around the top four and have to be in the Champions League. Otherwise, 2 or 3 seasons outside of that, then surely that can't be sustainable with the amount of money they spend. So, yeah, they have to be looking at the top four. I think it's important that they get some points on the board early doors, because you don't want to be playing catch-up. They played catch-up last year and eventually got there. But you want to have a comfortable run. You don't want to be under pressure every time you step on the field so much. You want to just get the thing flowing, get the team playing, getting your best players, the likes of Palmer on the ball. I mean, João Pedro today, it's fantastic, as we were talking about him in the Club World Cup. João Pedro just wasn't in the game. He wasn't in the races. No. Again, he's a player that has to be given the ball, and when nobody gives him it, then he can't produce what he's capable of. So, yeah, all of those things, particularly those players, have to get going. A little bit of luck along the way, always helps. But yeah, they need to start picking up points.
They've got Liam Delap, who came on as a striker. He's different from João Pedro, but today it was still Chelsea 0, Crystal Palace 0. Nicholas Jackson didn't really work, although he scored some goals. If Chelsea need one position to strengthen, would you say it's goalkeeper, defence, midfield, or the number 9?
No, I think João Pedro's been a great signing. Delap, still only 22, was never going to be coming straight in and being Chelsea centre forward. João Pedro for me was always going to be that guy. So I think they've filled that right now. I don't think you can say too much about that. I think the middle of the park they're good. Defensively, I thought young Ashapong did pretty well today. Mateta's a handful, and Mateta physically is too big and strong for most centre backs. So that part of the game today, I'm going to give Ashapong the benefit of the doubt. But I guess I'm not comfortable with Sanchez in goal. I'll be honest. I don't particularly rate him. He made a save from a Mateta shot that was a snapshot. And as soon as he caught it, he couldn't wait to have a go at his defender. I mean, I don't like keepers like that. I like the cool, calm, calculated, calm down type of goalkeeper. I don't like the ones that try and point the finger at the defenders.
Like Bruce Grobbelaar, who was very calm behind you when you played. A little bit eccentric. He was a good goalkeeper. That's the bottom line. Joao Pedro will come good. Chelsea will come good. They just need a little bit of time. They looked tired. They're 2 or 3 weeks behind everybody else. But once the international break is out the way, expect Chelsea to fly on all cylinders. For Crystal Palace, without Eze, it might be different. But for now, that was a deserved point at Stamford Bridge to begin their Premier League season. Bye for now.
Right, Chelsea fans, let's dive straight into what happened at Stamford Bridge today, because honestly, it wasn't the start to the Premier League season we were all hoping for. Another frustrating afternoon. That's left us all scratching our heads and wondering what exactly went wrong against Crystal Palace. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of this disappointing draw, I've got to ask you something. If you're as passionate about Chelsea as I am, and you want to stay ahead of all the breaking news, all the transfer whispers, and all the behind-the-scenes stories that matter to us Blues, then smash that subscribe button right now. We're building something special here for proper Chelsea fans, and you don't want to miss out on what's coming next. Let's be brutally honest about what we witnessed today. This was a performance that had all the hallmarks of a side that's simply not match ready. Enzo Maresca's lads looked sluggish, disconnected, and frankly miles off the pace that Crystal Palace set from the very first whistle. And before anyone starts having a go at the gaffer, let's remember the context here. Chelsea have only been back from their Club World Cup triumph for 10 days. 10 days! That's nowhere near enough time to get the legs sharp and the minds focused for the intensity of Premier League football. Cole Palmer, our star man from last season, was virtually invisible throughout the 90 minutes. Now, that's not like Cole at all, is it? The lad who scored 4 goals in the first half against Brighton last September, the same player who was our shining light in that run to Champions League qualification, looked completely out of sorts. When your best creative outlet can't get on the ball and make things happen, you know you're in for a long afternoon. The most telling moment of the match came in the 13th minute when Eberechi Eze thought he'd given Palace the lead with a thunderous free kick from 22 yards out. The ball flew past Robert Sanchez like a rocket, and for a split second, you could feel that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach. But then VAR intervened, and thank goodness it did. Mark Gay had clearly shoved Enzo Fernandez in the wall, creating the gap that allowed Ace to find the target. It was the right decision, no question about it, but it highlighted just how vulnerable we looked from set pieces. What frustrated me most about today's performance was our complete inability to exploit the wide areas. Palace made it crystal clear from the start that they were going to pack the middle of the park and force us wide. Fair enough, that's exactly what you'd expect from a well-organized Oliver Glasner side. But here's the thing, we've got quality on the flanks. Pedro Neto and our wide players are both capable of causing serious problems when they get the ball in space. Yet time and time again, we just funneled everything back into the congested center of the pitch. It's like we were playing right into Palace's hands. They wanted us to get frustrated. They wanted us to keep trying to force passes through a wall of defenders, and we obliged them perfectly. Where was the plan B? Where was the tactical flexibility that we've seen glimpses of under Maresca? Robert Sanchez in goal continues to be a concern for me. Yes, he made a decent save from Jean-Philippe Mateta's effort, but immediately afterwards he was having a go at his defenders. That's not the kind of calm, composed presence you want between the sticks. Great goalkeepers communicate, but they don't point fingers the moment they're called into action. We need someone who brings serenity to the backline, not additional stress. The defensive performance wasn't all doom and gloom, mind you. Young Axel Disasi had a solid outing against Mateta, who's no easy customer to deal with. The French striker is a proper handful. Strong, quick, and knows how to make life difficult for centre-backs. Disasi stood up to the challenge reasonably well, and that's something we can build on moving forward. But let's talk about what really needs to happen now. This draw, while disappointing, isn't the end of the world. Palace are a good side. They've shown over the years that they know how to make life difficult for the big clubs. They're organized, they work hard for each other, and they have genuine quality in players like Eze. After their FA Cup triumph last season, where Eze scored the winner against Manchester City, they've got that winning mentality that comes with lifting silverware. The real test for Maresca and this Chelsea squad comes next. We can't afford to use the "we're not match fit" excuse for much longer. Yes, the Club World Cup success was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And it shows we can rise to the occasion when it matters. But Premier League football is a different beast altogether. It's relentless. It's week after week of having to be at your absolute best. And right now, we're clearly not there yet. João Pedro, who was absolutely sensational in that Club World Cup final against PSG, looked a shadow of himself today. The Brazilian barely got a sniff of the ball, and when he did, nothing seemed to stick. That's not entirely his fault. When the service isn't there, even the best strikers in the world struggle to make an impact. Looking ahead, we need to be realistic about what this season might bring. The expectation has to be Champions League qualification at the absolute minimum. With the money that's been invested in this squad, anything less than 4th place would be a massive disappointment. But performances like today show we've got work to do if we're going to compete with the likes of Liverpool, Manchester City, and Arsenal. The positive news is that we've got quality throughout the squad. Once the fitness levels improve, once the partnerships start clicking, and once Maresca has had proper time to implement his ideas, this team could surprise a lot of people. But patience is going to be key, both from the fans and from the board. Crystal Palace, fair play to them, defended brilliantly today. They've clearly learned from their FA Cup success last season, and they're not a team that anyone should be taking lightly. If Eze does end up leaving for Tottenham, as the transfer rumors suggest, they'll lose a massive creative threat. But knowing Palace under Glasner, they'll find a way to adapt and continue being a nuisance for the bigger clubs. So where does this leave us? 1 point on the board, plenty of work to do, and a reminder that in the Premier League, you get nothing for free. Every team is going to make life difficult for you. And if you're not at your best, you'll be found out quickly. The international break couldn't come at a better time for Chelsea. It gives Maresca more time to work with his players, to get everyone up to speed, and to fine-tune the tactical approach. When we come back, we need to hit the ground running. For now, it's just 1 game, 1 point, and plenty of time to put things right. But make no mistake, we need to improve. And we need to improve quickly if we're going to have the kind of season Chelsea fans deserve. That's all from me today, Blues. Keep the faith, keep supporting the team. And remember, we've been through worse than this and come out stronger. Until next time, keep that Chelsea flag flying high.